Good morning, everybody. This is Al Parsai. I'm a regulated Canadian immigration consultant. I teach immigration consulting at Ashton College and Global School of Corporate Excellence. I'm the author of the bestseller book, 88 Tips on Immigration to Canada, and I have 10 years of experience as an immigration consultant. It's now more than 10 and a half years. And I have represented clients from 52 different countries to the immigration authorities. Today, as usual of my Sunday's live, I will talk about the latest news in the world of immigration. If you have any questions, feel free to post them on the chat box, and I will answer them after I'm done with reviewing the news. Of course, don't repeat your questions. There is no need for that. I promise I will go through every single question. I won't answer personal questions here. I won't offer immigration advice in a public forum, but if you have any general questions, I will be more than happy to answer them. So to begin with, let's review the latest news in the world of immigration. So the first piece of news that I would like to share with you, it's actually something that we published only 2 minutes ago on our website. It's so very new. It's actually about a new refugee stream that the government of Canada has decided to conduct. This refugee stream is with regards to protecting and helping defenders of human rights. The government of Canada intends to resettle about 250 people. These are refugees and their family members that they fall under the group of human rights defenders. However, to make sure that they are picking the right people to resettle them to Canada, they work directly with some organizations in charge of human rights. So this is great news for people who work so hard to defend human rights in the world, and their lives are in danger because of what they are doing. And that will help them to move to a safe environment, to our country, Canada, and remain here and receive protection from the government of Canada. If you are interested, I will post the link of this article here, and later on I will post it below this video as well. So let me just post it here, and then later, of course, you can check it out below the video. Okay, so what else do we have? The next piece of news is kind of disappointing. Actually, we got the information mostly from a migrant rights work network, and we published the news piece on our website. The news is actually about humanitarian and compassionate consideration immigration to Canada. So if you are inside Canada and you want to become an immigrant, you want to become a permanent resident of Canada. However, you do not meet the requirements of the act. Something is missing. For example, you do not have enough money, or your sponsor doesn't quite meet the sponsorship requirements, or for example, your language is not good enough to apply, or you are inadmissible to Canada. With some exceptions, you are inadmissible to Canada and you cannot apply for immigration to Canada. For example, inadmissibility because of criminality issues, inadmissibility because of medical issues. In those situations, or the criminality of a family member, or medical issues of a family member. In those situations, when you are inside Canada, you could apply for immigration under humanitarian and compassionate grounds. That falls under Section 25 of the Immigration Act. You need to request the minister or the officer to disregard the situation that leads to your inadmissibility, or the reasons that you do not meet the requirements of immigration to Canada. However, this is at the discretion of the officer to review your documents and decide whether to accept your case or not. The issue is that many of people who file for refugee in Canada and the refugee applications get refused. As another source of potential permanent residency of Canada, they apply under HNC or Humanitarian Compassionate Grounds. The nature of HNC is different from the nature of asylum seeking in Canada or Section 95, 96, 97 of the Act. And that's why unfortunately, many of those people naturally get refused by the immigration authorities. So a refusal rate has always been high with this group of applicants. In fact, a long time ago, the approval rate was only 35%. Then in 2015, we had a Supreme Court of Canada decision that enhanced the situation, and the refusal rate dropped to, roughly speaking, about 40%. So what happened is that in fact, in 2019, according to Migrant Rights Network, the refusal rate was only 35%. And then in 2020, during pandemic, the refusal rate reached 57%. So in other words, most of HNC applicants, they got refused. In fact, in 2020, we had 5,000 refusals comparing to 3,735 approvals. Then this trend, unfortunately, continued and even became worse in the first 3 months of 2021. In the first 3 months of 2021, we had 2,915 refusals comparing to 1,265 approvals. In other words, 69 or roughly 70% of the people who applied under HNC and their application were refused in the first 3 months of 2021, their application got refused and only 30% of them got approved. Now, luckily for my clients, in the past 1 year, 100% of my clients got approved. So it is kind of, I think, luck, of course, and the hard work that we put into every HNC application. It doesn't mean that I can guarantee success if you apply under HNC. In fact, one of the reasons that we have higher approval rates, significant higher approval rates comparing to these statistics, is because that I'm very cognizant of the requirements of HNC. So if somebody approaches me and I have this feeling that the application likely will get refused, I do not even accept the case. But generally speaking, we have been very lucky, and I'm so thankful for that, because none of our clients were among those people that they were refused. If you want to know more about humanitarian and compassionate immigration, I just posted the link about this news piece. You can read it, and also there is a link to my article and video about HNC. You can watch the video. It's on YouTube. You can read the article and get more information about HNC. But if you are an immigration consultant out there, if you are an immigration lawyer and you want to accept clients, be careful with what kind of clients you're accepting. If you want to apply on your own, please don't. HNC is a very complex process. You definitely need to hire somebody who is a professional in the field to review your case, assist you with preparation of documents, review your documents, fill out the forms, prepare your narrative, whatever is necessary to be submitted, so you can be protected while you're applying. It doesn't guarantee your success, but at least your chances are a lot higher, and you do not mess it up. don't take it lightly. Many people, because they don't have money or they are in financial constraints, they do not hire somebody to assist them with the immigration process, especially with HNC, TRP, these kinds of complex applications, and they will flatly get refused by the immigration authorities. So be careful with that. The big news of the day, and if I had a drum, I would have done a drum roll, is a glimpse of hope in terms of reopening the borders. And the rumors began with a short interview with the Prime Minister of Canada. It is very likely Prime Minister is very popular right now, and the Liberal Party of Canada, his party is very popular. So there is a chance that he calls for election this year. And of course, he doesn't want to ruin his popularity. And because of that, under immense pressure from outside Canada and inside Canada, he gave this hint that he will probably reopen the borders. Now, we have got some information from different sources, and we have a posting about this. You can take a look at it by visiting this link, and we will talk about this in more details in that news piece. It has been published by our journalist, Andrea Nira. Actually, all the news that I'm talking to you, they are published by Andrea. She's our journalist. She works very hard to find the latest information for you and post it on our website. You can subscribe to our website, enable notifications on our website, or subscribe to our newsletter, and you will receive this news every day or every week, depending on which source you pick. But at the end of the day, the rumor says that around, and actually it's based on what the Prime Minister said, around mid-August, it's very likely that Canada will open its borders to the United States of America. Now, keep in mind that right now, the plan is to open the border to fully vaccinated people. In the US, about actually less than 50% of US citizens are fully vaccinated. I'm glad to say that a few days ago, actually 2 or 3 days ago only, Canada surpassed the United States in terms of fully vaccination, in terms of, in fact, just single shot vaccination. Canada is among top 10 countries in the world. More than 80% of adult Canadians, they have already received their first shot, and close to 60% of them, they have received both shots, and also, or they are fully vaccinated depending on which vaccine they have received. So we are in a very good situation in terms of vaccination, controlling the disease, and that's why Prime Minister gave this hint that they will open the US border, US-Canada border, to fully vaccinated people. And right now, it looks like that this will be limited to US citizens and permanent residents of the United States or green card holders. I suspect that they will also include every foreign national who has proper visa to Canada, and they try to cross the land borders from the US to Canada. If they are fully vaccinated, they can easily enter Canada without even if their travel reasons are discretionary. I'm not sure about that because we don't have the details, but at least we will see some reopening in mid-August, so probably on August 21st. So anytime between 3 weeks to 5 weeks from now. Then in September, Canada intends to most likely open its borders to all other countries, but you need to be fully vaccinated. And by fully vaccinated, right now, Canada only accepts 4 vaccines: Pfizer or Pfizer-BioNTech. The second one would be Moderna. The third one is AstraZeneca, and the fourth one is Johnson & Johnson. For Johnson & Johnson, you only need 1 shot. For the other 3, you need 2 shots. Also, Canada accepts a mix and matching these vaccines, unlike some other countries. But at the end of the day, if you are fully vaccinated and you have the proof of that, if you are traveling from the United States, you will most likely will be able to travel to Canada within 3 to 5 weeks from today, and from other countries, hopefully by mid or end of September. Again, if you want to know more, I just posted the link here. You can click the link and visit our website for more information. If you have any questions about immigration to Canada, if it's a general question, not considered advice, official advice, please post them in the chat box. When I'm done with the news, I will definitely answer every single of your questions. So the next one is that unfortunately, the cap reached for the essential worker subcategory of TR to PR pathway. So TR to PR is designed for people who are currently inside Canada. They are working, they have proper work permits or study permits, and they meet the requirements of TR to PR pathway, which falls under 3 categories. Those 3 categories repeat themselves for Francophones. So in total, we have 6 subcategories. So 2 of subcategories, the international student subcategory and the essential worker subcategory, they have reached the cap. You cannot apply under those 2. And then the only one that is remained for Anglophones is the healthcare workers. That one is pretty open. We have only 13% filled. If you want to know more about this, you can visit this link and read more about this option. If you qualify for the essential worker option or international student option and you know French, then this is the time for you to take TEF Canada or TCF Canada, because if you are NCLC 5 or higher, you can apply under a Francophone international option, international student option. If you are NCLC 4 or higher, then you could apply under essential worker option. So they are still available to Francophones. For Francophones, there is no cap, but the last day to submit your application or the day that they will close accepting applications is November 5th, 2021. So you need to apply before November 5th. But if you know French and if you take the test and you meet the language requirements, then that's the time for you to apply. This is the best option for Francophones right now to immigrate to Canada. The other piece of good news is for TR to PR applicants. So if you applied under TR to PR pathway and your work permit is about to expire, the validity of your work permit is less than 4 months, then you could apply for bridging open work permit. So in other words, the government of Canada extended bridging open work permit for TR to PR applicants. So that's great news. If you want to know more about bridging open work permit or BOWP, you can actually visit our website. I have an article about this matter. I have explained it, and of course, if you click the link that I just posted, and I will post it below this video later on, you can also learn more about TR to PR pathway, bridging open work permit, and what are the requirements to apply. Right now, majority of people who applied under TR to PR pathway, they have not received their AOR or acknowledgement of receipt. It means that they don't have a file number, so it would be almost impossible for them to apply for a bridging open work permit. But the government will roll out those file numbers for them soon, and then when they receive their file numbers, if their work permit is valid less than 4 months, then they can apply for bridging open work permit. So this is amazing news for TR to PR pathway applicants, but you already need to be in the pool, and you need to have received your AOR, a file number, before you can apply for this program. Keep in mind that if you have any questions, just post them on the chat box. I will answer them as soon as I'm done with the news. Last week was pretty busy. In the beginning, Andrea told me, oh, it's a slow week, but it wasn't. It wasn't a slow week. So I have so much to tell you. The other thing that you might need to know is that the government of Ontario has moved towards an EOI system for OINP, or Ontario Immigrant Nominee Program. Just to give you an idea, Ontario, in terms of population, is the largest province in Canada. The population is about 14.5 million. Actually, it slightly exceeds 14.5 million, with 1.3 million square kilometers in terms of the area of Ontario. In terms of area, it's the second largest province after Quebec, and Ontario hosts the capital of Canada, Ottawa, and the largest city in Canada, which is the capital of Ontario, Toronto. Toronto is the fourth largest city in North America, with a population of 2.8 million people. The Greater Toronto Area hosts about 6 million people, and that's why Ontario is a magnet for immigration. About 35 to 40% of people who immigrate to Canada under federal programs, they directly target Ontario. Also, many of people who immigrate to other provinces of Canada, they eventually move to Ontario. That's why Ontario has always been reluctant in accepting immigrants, but they realize the importance of immigration to their province, and they can pick and choose the best immigrants for their province. That's why we have OINP, or Ontario Immigrant Nominee Program, in place. It covers many different options. The government of Ontario recently moved towards a system called EOI, or Expression of Interest. This means that you log into your Ontario account and express your interest in immigration to Ontario. There could be potentially two pathways for you. One pathway would be pure Ontario immigration options. This means that Ontario will look at your credentials, your experience, etc., and they pick you if you meet the requirements of an immigration option under OINP. The second path would be for express entry, so you can enter the EOI pool, and then if you are also already in express entry pool, then the government of Ontario might pick you if they feel that you are a good fit for immigration to this province. If you want to know more about this development, here is the link. I will post the link here. By all means, please read the article. When I'm done with talking about the news, I will definitely answer all your questions. So please stay tuned. I will come back to your questions. Okay. Okay. What else do we have? So the other one is something that confused some of my clients who have registered businesses in Canada. So the government of Canada actually is proposing some changes to the immigration and refugee protection regulations. These changes mean that there will be more protection offered to foreign workers who are inside Canada. That's why they send the proposed changes to many employers in Canada who have already expressed their interest in hiring an international person, or they already have international or foreign workers. Again, many of my clients got confused when they received these messages. So we posted an article explaining this, what are those changes, how they could affect employers in Canada. If you're interested, you can respond to those changes. There's still time. You can read them. If you object to them or you want to see more changes, some additions, etc., you can communicate with the immigration authorities through actually the ESTC authorities, not immigration authorities. There is a contact information available on Canada Gazette Part 1 under these changes, and they will review them and they may incorporate them in the law. So you could be a person who contributes to the Canadian law. So give it a try. Okay. I personally posted something because many people ask me this question on, and I realized that I need to publish an article about this. And this is about whether you need to take IELTS for a student visa. So the simple answer is that obviously for a student visa, you need to go through two steps. Step one is to receive a letter of acceptance from a designated learning institution. And the second step is to apply for study permit. When you want to get the letter of acceptance from that designated learning institution, they, in all cases, they are asking you to prove your ability to communicate in one of the official languages of Canada, that means in French or in English. And for that, almost all institutions in Canada ask you to do a language test. So that language test could be TOEFL, could be IELTS, could be KL, could be other languages. Even some of those schools, they run their own language tests, like York University, many other universities and colleges in Canada, they actually run their own language tests. And then based on that, they decide whether you can register to their programs or not. This is your relationship with that college or university. But when you are done and you have your letter of acceptance, can you use the language test that you used for your acceptance for your study permit? Do you even need a language test for a study permit? Or if you do you only need to do IELTS for your language test for the study permit? So the simple answer is that we have two different options for a study, or let's say three different options for a study permit. One option is when you are applying under the STS program, and the other option is when you're applying at the port of entry. That's for American citizens, and or when you're applying online. So when you are applying online or when you are applying at the port of entry, you do not need a language test. But when you are applying under STS, yes, you need a language test, and that language test must be IELTS. It could be IELTS academic or it could be IELTS general. This is the only time that the government accepts IELTS academic, and your test results must be at least 6 under each ability. If you are taking another test like CELPIP, it is okay, but your CELPIP needs to be under every ability, it needs to be 7 or higher. If you are showing language tests in French, they only accept TEF Canada and TCF Canada. And then again, TCF Canada, I don't think it's available outside Canada, so it would be TEF Canada, and you need to be NCLC 7 or higher. So for STS program, you must present language test results. For other applications, you don't. Again, I have an article about this subject. You can read the article for more details. I don't want to take much of your time. I promise I will go back to all the questions, okay? So last week was a pretty busy week, so and that's why we have so much news to share with you. The other one is, as I mentioned, for TR to PR pathway, there is no cap for French-speaking people, but remember that TR to PR targets people want to immigrate to anywhere in Canada but the province of Quebec. So you want to settle outside the province of Quebec. And what we are suffering from right now is lack of population of Francophones outside Quebec. Almost all Francophones live inside Quebec. We have less than 1 million Francophones outside Quebec, and the government of Canada wants to encourage resettlement of Francophones outside Quebec. That's why they haven't set a cap for Francophone applications under TR to PR pathway. And the minister, again, pitched it to all Francophones recently. We have an article about this. I posted this. You can read it. One important thing is that the government of Canada updated the requirements for proof of funds, and actually the deadline to update your express entry was June 15th. But if you haven't updated your profile, go back and update it. So basically, if you do not meet the financial settlement requirements, then they could refuse your express entry application. The proof of funds is necessary for those people who are in the pool under federal skilled worker class or under federal skilled trades class if they do not have a job offer in Canada. So if you're applying under FSW or FSWC or FSTC or FST, however you say it, you do have a valid job offer in Canada supported by LMI or whatever it's necessary to be supported with, then you do not really need to submit proof of funds. But if you do not have a job offer and you're applying under federal skilled worker class or federal skilled trades class, then you need to show proof of funds. Make sure go back to express entry profile, review it. So if you have not been selected and you're just in the pool, update the numbers. Obviously, you cannot just throw a number. It needs to be supported by documents. But if you're just in the pool right now, you don't need to submit any documents. Truthfully update your profile to meet the minimum requirements, because if you don't, then they will kick you out of the pool. The second one, and of course the deadline was June 15th. So if you haven't done that, they may still kick you out, but do your best to, as quickly as possible, update this. The second group is the group that they have been in the pool. They are invited to apply, but they haven't submitted their documents yet. In this situation, you need to update your profile, and you also need to submit financial documents that support this, like your bank account to show that you actually have the money that you're claiming you have. And then the third group are those people who already submitted their application. It's fully submitted. In this situation, if your previous documents, bank documents, do not show that you meet the recent changes, in this situation, you need to produce, of course, truthful bank account documents, and then you can go on IRCC web form and upload them through the IRCC web form, so they know that you still meet the financial requirements. For Canadian experience class, you shouldn't be worried about this because proof of funds is not necessary for a Canadian experience class. Also keep in mind that if you don't know what numbers I'm talking about, just if you Google LICO 2021, so LICO space 2021. My article is the first article, and I have the table with all the numbers. You can do that, or you can read the article that I just published, the link. And we also have the table in that article as well. So this is extremely important. If you haven't done so, make sure that you do it right away. And of course, be careful not to lie, because that means misrepresentation, and it has significant consequences. Okay, two more things and I'm done, promise. And I will answer all your questions. So one of them is that we talked about the study direct stream or SDS program, student direct stream, sorry. So in the past, the student direct stream covered only 7 countries, but now it has been expanded to 14 countries. So the other 7 countries that are selected for this program, they are in North America. So I read the whole list of countries. So the old ones were China, India, Morocco, Pakistan, Philippines, Senegal, and Vietnam. If you are a resident of any of these 7 countries, then you could apply under the SDS program. And then the new countries include Antigua and Barbuda, Brazil, Colombia, Costa Rica, Peru, and St. Vincent and Grenadines, and Trinidad and Tobago. So maybe you can take a look at that. I just told you about this because I thought that we talked about SDS. We need to know this as well. So if I talked about this in my previous video as well. If you want to know more about the SDS program, again, I post the link here. And okay. And I will also post the link below this video. And I think I'm done. But because I said two more things, the last thing is about renouncing PR status. So you can renounce your permanent resident if you want to. I posted an article about this a few days ago. If you want to read more about renouncing or canceling your permanent residency, you can take a look at this link. Okay. Now let's go to the questions. Remember, I cannot offer immigration advice here on this public forum. If you are my clients, you have direct access to me. You can contact me directly and ask your questions. If you are not my clients, you can book a consultation session with me, and I will answer your questions in the consultation session. My consultation sessions are not free. I charge $200 for half an hour of consultation. However, if it results into a retainer agreement, we will deduct this $200 from the retainer agreement. Okay, let's take a look at the questions. So the first one is from Rupesh Sangvi. Hi, Rupesh. Hello, Mr. Parsai. Can you please request your good office? I have no idea what you're talking about. Please communicate with whoever you're communicating. Okay, so the next question is from Holistic Word. I am FSWO March 20 AOR with a non-accompanying spouse. We both did medical. Since the medical has expired, and if IRCC requests for remedical, then will it for only myself or my spouse as well? So this is what the government of Canada has decided. The officers have the ability to communicate, to extend the validity of medical examination. And by default, they could extend it for up to an extra 15 months. That's usually what they do. Recently, for many of my express entry applicants, we received messages from the government that they said, because we consider you low risk, we will extend the validity of your medical examination beyond 12 months. So don't worry about it. You don't need to do medical exam. Having said that, if you have not received such a message and 12 months has passed, don't panic. If the officer really wants to extend your medical examination, they won't request another medical. If they do, if they don't want to extend it, then you will receive a new IME letter. And when you receive the new IME letter, then that's when you decide to, you have to go through a second medical examination. When it comes to medical examination, they kind of look at the members of family independently. So after 12 months has passed, they may ask everybody to do their medical examination or nobody to do their medical examination. These are the two most likely scenarios. But the officer has the freedom just to pick and choose. So they say, you have to do medical examination, not your spouse, or your spouse has to do medical examination, not you. And it depends on their location, on their age, on their previous medical report, that they may request a repeat of the medical examination. So that's absolutely under the authority of the officer. But will they extend it beyond 1 year? Yes, they do extend it beyond 1 year. And they, in fact, they communicated that with us, that we are going to extend it beyond 1 year for many of my express entry clients. But as I mentioned, if they don't send you a letter saying that you're exempt and we have extended, they may just basically get back to you and send you an IME letter, or they don't do anything. So just wait for them to communicate with you. You don't need to communicate with them. Okay, and in terms of course, I don't know the specifics of your case. So if you're worried or your case is different from this generic information that I gave, you can communicate with them. So Darshna Yogi, what about open work permit having acceptance letter from employer? So generally speaking, open work permit is open work permit. It means that you don't need a letter from an employer. In other words, when somebody is applying for an open work permit, it means that they receive a work permit that is independent of an employer. And even when you are filling out the work permit form, you don't have an employer. You just apply for an open work permit. Having said that, some people who have open work permit, they also have employers. And that's okay if the employer even sends them a support letter. That shows the employability of the person, but don't confuse the officer, because the officer needs to know whether you're applying for an open work permit or a closed work permit. And obviously, if you want to change your open work permit to closed work permit, which I don't know what's the rationale, but in that situation, you could apply for an LMIA or IMP if you are exempt from LMI requirements. But be careful with not confusing the immigration officer. If it's an open work permit, no employer. You are exempt from the requirements of an employer. If it's a closed work permit, obviously you need an employer, you need a support letter from your employer or job offer from your employer. And depending on the situation, you may need an LMIA as well. So the next question is from Fuad Yassin. It has been 4 months since AOR for CC. No update after medical pass. Should all IRCC or keep waiting? Okay, so Fuad, I cannot give you immigration advice here, but generally speaking, when you apply under express entry, for most people, the processing time is around 12 months. So I know that they say under 6 months, but that's not the reality. For people that they get approved, for most of them is around 12 months. Many people, they get the results under 6 months, but probably majority of those people that they get their results under 6 months are those people that they get refused. Of course, I've had clients in the past that they got approved under 6 months. My record actually happened just a few days ago, and we submitted the application on April 29th of this year, and my client became a permanent resident of Canada literally yesterday. So in other words, in less than 3 months, they got approved. It was a Canadian experience class, but this is an exception. This is not representative of everybody. In fact, right now as we speak, I have CEC clients that they have been waiting for more than a year and they are not approved. So it doesn't mean that because of a few cases that they get approved under 6 months, the rest of people get approved under the 6 months. If somebody is waiting for 4 months, that's not even considered a delay. Even by their standards, you cannot even communicate with them under 6 months. after 6 months you can communicate. You can, obviously, you cannot encourage the immigration authorities to expedite the processing of your application. However, you can ask them questions, and they sometimes get back to you and they answer your questions. If you have an immigration consultant or a lawyer, then ask them to communicate on your behalf or for official advice. If you have done it yourself, then that's up to you. Nobody says it is illegal or not allowed to communicate with the immigration authorities. You can communicate with them at any time with the through the IRCC web form, but don't overdo it. Only do it when you are dealing with a critical situation or you have new documents to submit, those kind of things. But generally speaking, for most applications that get approved, they are approved way more than 6 months. It takes way more than 6 months for the government to process them. The actual processing time could be 12 months, sometimes 18 months. I've had a client that it took them 18 months to get approved for their express entry. Okay, so the next question is from Healer Vivesh. It says, hello, sir. Tourist visas open back. So the simple answer is no, they have not. But the government, and I posted actually, if you go, I will save this. You can go back and read my, watch my video. The recording, I explained it in details, and we have an article on our website. You can check that out as well. But quickly answering your question, the border between Canada and the United States will open to Americans and permanent residents of the United States and probably other people that are tourists and they are coming from those countries if they are fully vaccinated in around mid-August, so probably by August 21st. And then in mid-September, we hope that tourists can come back to Canada, travel to Canada, but they need to be fully vaccinated, and they only accept vaccines that are approved by Health Canada. So the next question is from Hiren Patel. I have sent request for correction of my name of my son in PR application as it indicates wrong in GC key, but still it has not been done after 1 month. So generally speaking, I got Canada Self-Employed Stream AOR, and the questions continue. I have applied in Canada, self-employed, got confirmation in month of March 2020, recently got email to paid up fees and done in June 2021. In GCK shows background check and eligibility check, applied from India. What is next step? So you say in one word, you say from outside Canada. Okay. So again, as I mentioned, I cannot offer you immigration advice, but what I can tell you is self-employed application is one of the most complicated and difficult applications that you could apply under. I'm not gonna, scare you and tell you why did you do it on your own. But if you're confident that you understand it and you have applied properly, by all means, if you want us to review your case and see what's going on and offer you advice, then you can book a consultation session with me and I can tell you how to move forward. But in terms of correction to your sons, the government is very slow. You make those requests and it could take them months to make those corrections, but at least when you communicate with them, you have communicated with them, and if the mistake continues, you can re-communicate with them, and hopefully eventually they will fix the issue for you. I need your appointment, please share link. I'm confused, Rupesh. You mean share link for the appointment? Okay, so for people who are not my clients, the appointment is here. For people who are my clients, they have my email and they can email me directly. So the healer, hello, Parsai, tourist visa. Okay, we talked about tourist visa. The next one is my possibilities for approval. Temporary worker permit visa is easier and quicker than the PR process approval. So is it easier to approve temporary closed work permit than waiting for the PR? So it depends. It's a very good question. I mean, generally speaking, we expect that the work permit application, both the processing time is faster, and also the processing time is faster, and also the application success rate is higher. But that's not the reality. The reality is that sometimes work permit applications, they become very complicated, and they will take a very long time to be processed. So I've had work permit, obviously my record is that 17 of my clients at the same time, they went to the airport and they applied for work permit, and all of them got approved. In comparing to that, I have cases that right now they're stuck in Abu Dhabi for the past 16 or 17 months, and they are not processing them. So unfortunately, it's very difficult to say which one is better. But generally speaking, yes, we expect the work permit applications being processed quicker comparing to a permanent resident application. But again, depends on the permanent resident application type, the work permit application type. Sometimes we apply concurrently. So when, for example, for a higher end that's referred to a self-employed application, because the process is very time consuming and complicated and prone to refusal, usually what we do is that we recommend to our clients to apply for a work permit first. They come to Canada, and then we initiate the self-employed application process for them. One of the reasons is that they start their self-employment activities in Canada while they are waiting for their permanent resident application to be processed. So it doesn't matter how long the PR application takes time. The other reason that we do this is because when you start your self-employed activities in Canada, that's the proof of intent and ability, and that enhances your chances of success under Section 88 and 100 of the immigration regulations. So it depends on the case. If you conduct a consultation session with me, I will review your case and I will tell you whether it's better to apply for a work permit, whether it's better to apply for a permanent resident, whether it's better to apply concurrently. Depends on your situation. So the next question is from Man Singh. Inadmissible at USA-Canada border while changing the work permit. Okay, I'm really sorry to hear about that. I don't know what's your question, though, but yes, unfortunately, these things could happen. Sometimes when people show up at the port of entry, they encounter weird situations. Even when I was talking about flag polling, I opened this discussion and I talked about the fact that sometimes when you apply at the port of entry for your work permit and you are flag polling, you could encounter unwanted situations. So you have to be very careful in terms of how you communicate with the immigration authorities at the port of entry, whether you have all necessary documentation, etc., and get advice up front. Because one thing that the government doesn't talk about it very openly is the fact that the immigration to Canada, unfortunately, it's very legal based. It means that everything is around Immigration Refugee Protection Act, or IRPA, Immigration Refugee Protection Regulations, all the decisions made by the courts in the past several years. Just to give you an example, we have more than 70,000 court cases just since 2005 in the field of immigration. We have major court decisions by Supreme Court of Canada, Federal Court of Appeal, Federal Court, and those decisions affect the way that they process immigration applications. And a layperson, somebody who is not educated in the field of immigration, you don't even know about these things. And you show up at the port of entry, and then you encounter unwanted situations. I don't try to scare people and say, for every step that you take, you need to hire a professional, but it is in your best interest to consult with a professional. Ask somebody who know their job. Not everybody who has a license, it means that they will do a great job. If they don't have a license, don't even do it. Look, last week somebody booked a consultation session with me, and they said that we got a passport requested for TRV, and then when we submitted our passports for receiving our TRVs, we didn't receive them, but they didn't send our passports back. And then they communicated through IRCC web form with immigration authorities to follow up. And guess what? They had received a procedural fairness letter, a letter that said, the officer said, that the passport request that you have submitted is fake. So in other words, these poor people, they paid somebody to apply for temporary resident visas for them, and that person took their money, and they didn't do anything. They generated a fake passport request letter, and they gave that letter to these poor people, and they submitted their passport with those fake passport request documents, and now they are facing inadmissibility to Canada. So in other words, not only they didn't they receive a visa, they are facing 5-year inadmissibility to Canada, and somebody also took their money. So make sure whoever you are hiring is definitely licensed. They are either a member of ICCRC, in good standing, or they are a lawyer, or and at the same time, even if they are a lawyer or a member of ICCRC, also do your research to see if they are good lawyers or immigration consultants. Okay, so the next one, I have no plans to vaccine myself while entering Canada, so just 14 days quarantine is just enough for me to enter as per rules. So simply put, for non-vaccinated people, what we have right now is there are two different groups. One group is non-essential travelers, and the second group is essential travelers. So if you fall under non-essential traveling to Canada, you will, at least for unlimited time for now, you will not be welcome to Canada. You cannot travel to Canada, finished, period. So if somebody has not received both vaccinations and they try to travel to Canada as tourists, for example, for now, the rule says that you cannot, even if they open the borders. So it's not about quarantine, it's about not allowing non-essential travelers. Again, remember, non-essential travelers. Now, if you are an essential traveler and you have not received vaccines, or the vaccines that you have received are not approved by Health Canada, in that situation, yes, if you're an essential traveler, you need to go through the quarantine hotel and 14 days of quarantine, and then you can travel to Canada. And the definition of essential traveler is very difficult, but simply put, it could be international students, and not all of international students, some of international students. It could be foreign workers, and it could be somebody who is meeting their immediate family members or extended family members if they have received the exemption by the immigration authorities. So that's what we are looking at right now. It was a very broad definition of who is essential traveler. Also, some people who is attending a funeral or something like that. And of course, these laws and regulations will change constantly. That's what we are sitting at right now. Thank you very much, Healer. I think Vivish is your name. Thank you very much, Vivish. And thank you everybody else for attending this session. So we have come to an end. I will come back every Sunday at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time or Toronto time We'll talk about the immigration news. I answer your questions on YouTube. We'll also publish videos on our YouTube channel, so please subscribe to our channel, enable notifications, encourage people to subscribe to our channel. My name is Al Parsai. I'm a regulated Canadian immigration consultant with 10.5 years of experience as an immigration consultant. I teach immigration consulting at Ashton College in Vancouver, at Global School of Corporate Excellence in Toronto. I'm the author of 88 Tips on Immigration to Canada, a bestseller book in the field of immigration law. Thank you again, and see you next week on YouTube. Make sure to visit our website, settler.ca, as well, because we post the latest news on settler.ca. I post articles on settler.ca. I think it's a famous website in terms of immigration to Canada, and you can check out that website as well. I will post all the links about everything that we discussed here underneath this video, and hopefully you can also check them out as well. It was a great session, by the way. I was not in Toronto, I was in Niagara Falls, and it was nice connecting with you while I'm in vacation. So bye now, and see you next week.